Hi, this is Dina with the Pampered Chef, and I have a special video that we're going to be doing today. And that video is featuring our brand new program called Tastebuds. And Tastebuds is a home subscription of spices and recipes that come to your door, and then you shop for your ingredients or do your tweaks that you want to do. There's 3 recipes with multiple spices that you get to try, and you can go down different culinary pathways and trying spices. I've been with Pampered Chef almost 30 years. I can't believe it's been almost 30 years. And a lot of people, when they're talking about their challenges with cooking, they talk about their frustrations with seasonings and herbs and spices and not understanding flavor profiles. So I think it's really fun that Pampered Chef is going to give you some options where you can expand your palate and try different things. Today we're going to be featuring the brand new seasoning salt rub, and the recipe that goes with that is the pasta with vegetables. This is a vegetarian recipe, but you could easily add chicken or even some tuna or salmon to it if you would like. Then the other spices that they're featuring is a 3 onion, and it comes with a burger recipe with a special onion mayonnaise to go on it, and it sounds really yummy. And the next one that we have is a salmon salad, and that is featuring Pampered Chef's all-purpose dill. I started with Pampered Chef a long time ago, and from the very beginning we have had this dill in our product line. I didn't even like dill until I tasted Pampered Chef's dill mix, and they got rid of all the sharpness, and it's absolutely wonderful, and I love the Pampered Chef dill. Then there's an option card. So like my daughter took one look at it and said, I'd never do that salmon salad. And I said, well, give that to somebody else. Or you could try some of the other options that come with it, which is dilled carrots, a delicious dill dip, or a quick compound butter. And the nice thing is the spices come with enough quantity for about 4 different recipes. So tonight we're going to be using the seasoning salt, and I have done some of the food subscriptions to try it out. I found that it was very similar to this Pampered Chef thing where I got to buy my own ingredients. I had a lot of them at home. I didn't have to duplicate. But it was really about the prepping, and I could see how this would be great if you were doing it as a couple. But I'm just going to charge through it. I'm going to give you some of my insights. Of course, I'm here to feature some of Pampered Chef's greatest products, but I certainly could see some ways to simplify it. I don't like doing dishes, but for ease with the video, I have used a lot of prep bowls that I might not necessarily use if I was just making this quickly for myself or my family. So let's get started with this vegetable pasta. And as I said, I've prepped some of the things ahead of time. So one of the things that I did is I cooked the pasta ahead of time. It started out by telling you to cook your pasta in salted water in a large pot until it was al dente or almost done. And I did that, but I used some vegetable broth. There's a vegetable broth in the recipe later that uses half a cup, so I already had the vegetable broth in a large container. So I went ahead and I cooked my pasta in that. I think you'll find it gives your pasta a little more flavor if you cook it in vegetable broth or chicken broth, depending on what your pasta dish is. When I drained it, I put it in my cooking blender, because I have a recipe I'm going to try tomorrow for carrot and ginger soup, and you make that in the cooking blender. So I just repurposed all of that. Yes, it'll have a little extra starch from the pasta, but it'll be just great, and I'm using all of that vegetable broth. So one of the things that they've asked us to do is to saute our vegetables and get them nice and tender, and then we're going to be adding the pasta back in. I'm going to use half pasta and half zucchini noodles. I use a lot of zucchini noodles when I'm cooking for myself to cut down on some of the carbohydrates and to amp up some of my fiber and some of my vegetables. So in this particular recipe, if your family's not used to zucchini noodles, then I recommend in the beginning that you go ahead and use the full amount of pasta, but then put just a handful of carrots or zucchini or crookneck squash, yellow squash in there, and then just keep over time adding more and more and removing some of the pasta. I'm really big into making little changes until you get to the point where you're just like, I really don't even miss the pasta. I just want the zucchini noodles. I prefer the flavor to that. So that's something we're going to do. We are going to get started by sauteing the carrots and the onions. And so I'm going to cut up the onions. And again, one of the ways that I cut down the mess is I use my kitchen shears. And Pampered Chef has 2 different kinds of kitchen shears right now that you can use. These are our heavy duty kitchen shears, and they will cut through chicken bones and hard plastics, and they really work well. So instead of putting them down on the cutting board and chopping them and having one more thing I have to clean, I just clip them with the scissors and they work great. You might notice that I have 2 pairs of these scissors right here. I do have 2 pairs because I use them so much. It seems like they're constantly dirty. They do come apart for easy cleaning, and I just put them in the silverware tray in my dishwasher, and boom, they're cleaned up. These are our all-purpose shears, and they're a little different than scissors. Where they're spring loaded and they pop back. So if you have any kind of hand issues like arthritis or carpal tunnel or anything like that, you might find that our kitchen shears are a little easier to use. And to sharpen them, they just click them right up against each other like this, or cut through some aluminum foil and wax paper, and that's going to sharpen them up nicely. And those are the Pampered Chef kitchen shears. So I love both of them. I grab them both all the time, but you know, you might want to decide which one that you might use. A heavy duty serrated pair or the easier to use kitchen shears. So we're going to move over to the oven and range area, and we have some oil sitting over there that we're going to saute our vegetables in. And anytime I hear the word saute, I like to use an oil that is good for high heat. So your sunflower oil, which is what I currently have, a grapeseed oil or a peanut oil do really well, and also an avocado oil does great with higher heats. So anytime I'm sauteing or doing a stir fry or anything like that, I use one of those 4 oils. And so we are gonna get this going right here. So the carrots are going to take the longest to cook, so we're going to put those in first. And I only need about a tablespoon of oil to do this, so I'm just going to put that in there. Pampered Chef sells a great oil sprayer, and it's pressurized and everything. I just found at altitude in Colorado, I had a little problems with it. And so I solved it over the years by just getting a sprayer and putting my oil directly in there. I don't get as light as mist with it, but it works really good with my air fryer as well as when I'm cooking vegetables. So that's just a little tip for me. So we're just gonna spread this carrots and onions out here. We've got the Pampered Chef 12-inch skillet. It's cast iron. Pampered Chef has a variety of cookware for your uses, from a stainless steel nonstick to a nonstick traditional that does not have Teflon in it. And both of those can go in the dishwasher. They're super easy to care for. You can use metal utensils in them. And we really have some great cookware. But I would say my husband and I both use our cast iron skillet, which is iron, and we had some other cast iron skillets over the years. But pretty much this one lives on the stove. We wash it, we put a little olive oil back on it, we set it back, and you know, the next thing you know, we're using it again. So this is one of our favorites. We're just gonna get these carrots to soften up a little bit, and I'm going to gather the other ingredients that we're going to be putting in here, the tomatoes. But step back with me and I'm going to show you a quick tip. Now, sometimes you just want to use what you have, and I only had a handful of tomatoes left from my little tomato pot. I haven't had the best luck growing tomatoes in Colorado. But this year I got more tomatoes than I usually do, and I'm going to be using the cut and seal, cut and close right here. And I caught one of them, but I'm just going to lay that in there and cut through it. And oh, all my tomatoes are cut. So that's what they recommend, is that you cut your grape tomatoes or cherry tomatoes in half. Well, I didn't have very many. I wanted to use what I did have. So I chopped up some tomatoes already, and we're going to be adding those to it. But I just wanted to show you what the recipe called for, and then also my adaptation of what I actually had. So they're asking us to put in a cup of peas and our tomatoes and a little bit of lemon zest. So I've got these right here. I know our carrots are cooking away over there. And I'm just going to show you a couple options to zest the lemon. So this is our zester, and it is a microplane. And I just quickly just work on the lemon, and it really does a great job with the lemon zest. I used to try to make cookies, sugar cookies at Christmas time that had some lemon zest in it, and I would use a grater. I'd get so frustrated. I wasn't getting much zest. I got a lot of the white stuff. I didn't think it tasted that much until I actually used the right tool for a job. So the microplane is absolutely fabulous, and it just takes the zest off of there, and I can do that very, very quickly. The other thing that I can use for that job is I can use the microplane fine cheese grater. Again, this is made by Microplane for us, and it just has a little bigger surface, so I'm doing a bigger, I'm doing it quicker and faster. I can do fine grade cheese with this. I can use it for so many things. I love, love, love this cheese grater. And it has a big brother, the coarse grater, and it also has a food holder. Both of them come with the guard, because you're going to find that this is super, super sharp. So I wanted to just talk a little bit more about the features on this fine grater. It can be a plane or an easel, or it can store very compactly folded in half. Let me show you how I did that. There is a little place to put your thumb on the left-hand side, and then there's a little arrow that's impossible to see. I think it's in Braille right here. I think you can feel it, but you can't see it. And then I'm just going to pull it to the left where my thumb is, and that releases it. Pull it again, and it does the easel. Pull it one more time, and it closes up. Do not try to just rip this thing apart. You will be sorry. You will break it. Of course, it's under warranty, but that is super simple. If you just realize that there's an invisible arrow right here, sorry, it's not easier to see, but the arrow points in the direction that you squeeze. I think we better get these vegetables in the skillet. Now, as I said, the first time I make a recipe, I try to follow the recipe. It's kind of hard for me. I just kind of like to cook. But when I'm first doing a recipe, especially for a video, I try to follow along here. Our carrot's getting nice and soft here. So we are going to add those peas. The tomatoes and peas are going to warm up very fast. This is bright and vibrant, looking great, and we're going to put the pasta and the zucchini noodles in it. Okay, we are going to just sneak a few of the zucchini noodles in right here so that they have a little more chance to cook. They don't take very long to cook, but we're just going to add them in with the other vegetables. And if I think they're too long and they're not incorporating well, I'm just going to snip them in the pan with my kitchen shears. So that's one of the things I love about these shears. If I decide the kids are gonna make a mess with the long noodles, I can just snip, and because they're spring loaded, they're so easy to use. Now it's suggesting that we use a little bit of white wine and 2/3 of a cup of cream. And we're just gonna get our sauce going right here and just stirring it up. And we just let it thicken a little bit. And then we're gonna be adding the seasoning salt and the lemon zest to this. And let me tell you, I have used the seasoning salt on steak and burgers and chicken and fish, and it is a clear winner. In fact, the first time I used it on my steak, my husband asked me what I did differently, and he said, this is the best steak I think I've ever had. We tried it again, and the next time he goes, definitely it's a winner. And we went through the entire bottle of seasoning salt in less than a month because we were putting it on everything, especially in our air fryer. We were putting it on our roasted vegetables as well. It's just really a nice flavor profile. I think you're gonna like how simple it is, and it cuts down on the amount of salt, but gives you way more flavor. So got this going, it's thickening up nicely. So I'm just gonna, see, pretty good. And we don't even have our seasoning salt. So the white wine and cream, very nice, mild, but awesome. Okay, I'm getting our teaspoon. We're gonna use 2 teaspoons of the seasoning salt here. This is thickening up nicely. And we're gonna have this ready. As soon as it's thickened, it suggests that we add the pasta. And remember, I'm only gonna add half of the pasta because we've put the zucchini noodles in there. So I'm just gonna have this ready to go. 2 teaspoons of the seasoning salt with our lemon zest, so that'll be ready. And so again, I just use those kitchen shears, and I love those for opening frustrating plastic and stuff as well. Oh my gosh, this looks fabulous. We are gonna be adding our seasoning salt and our zest at this point. We are almost done. So once you get all the prep work done, then I think you're gonna find it comes together very, very quickly. So we are going to now just add the 1/2 ounce of Parmesan cheese to the top of it. And then we're gonna put our panko bread crumbs on the top of this, and we are ready to serve. So that's our first taste bud recipes.